other a couple times this year so far, splitting sets. And of course, Mugi, our former world champion, was 4th place last year here at CRL World Finals, making his 4th appearance. And of course, is 4th seeded, so maybe that's just his lucky number.
Did split the difference this year, and interesting choice here from Adriel, game number 1. And look, we talked about that. Your first time under the big bright lights. Don't go with something that's micro heavy. Go something a little bit more macro based decision making rather than shaky fingers. And we see that here from Adriel game 1.
Yeah, I mean, just lean on what is working in the meta right now. All the things here. We got Goblin Giant, we got Sparky, we got Evoed Archers, and the minions people have been talking about a lot because they do a really, really good job countering that little prince.
And all the way in deep, no damage, and a nice little cheeky tombstone high. Will the Rage get the shot? And it does. So pretty much even Stevens here after the first minute of gameplay.
Yeah, Mugi down just a little bit in elixir here, but that's nothing to write home about. It's about a half an elixir as Adriel ticks up to 10. And we have, of course, 4 untouched towers. Well, 6, I guess.
Phoenix, you know, I don't know if I anticipated as much Phoenix as we've already seen today, especially outside of Royal Giant.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and we know how much you love the sound that the Phoenix makes, so I think it's honestly just for you.
I'm getting trolled by the pros here.
And Goblin Giant Kite here, I really like this. We got good dual lane pressure in. That Sparky's gonna deal well with this bowler coming in, and Mugi gonna have to play some strong defense.
And this is an interesting kind of change here. Mugi, of course, the 2021 world champion, running that year with his coach Tight, or with Arimura, excuse me, and then switching things up as of late. So some shifts in the camp for the former world champion.
Yeah, we could still go a couple directions here. It does start to feel like E-Giant at the top of the screen, but...
And a very slow opening game here. And I really like this from Adriel, not just the deck pick, but he's not getting overly aggressive. He's getting good damage, right? He's out in the lead. He's playing calm, playing collected. Now, how does he deal with an E-Giant and Evoed Archers?
Yeah, Fireball coming in right away, so Adriel at least has an answer for that. Still gonna take a little bit of damage, but that Dark Prince plus Mini P.E.K.K.A. plus the Sparky on the right-hand side, Adriel has decent control of the board.
And the Rage, will it be enough to slide everything through here? Dark Prince gets distracted just enough, but this should be a little bit more chip, and Adriel adds to the lead as we are just a few seconds away from sudden death overtime.
And that Tombstone put in work, Rich. It almost felt like that should be towered down, but those Skeletons plus that Tombstone did a great job in dealing with the ground and the air troops. Mugi almost getting away with one by having that much HP remaining.
Goblin Giant in front of the Sparky. It does go down. But Dark Prince on the right-hand side requires a little extra attention here. Goblin Giant does not get onto that left-hand tower. So far, so good in this exchange, but Mugi has work to do.
Yeah, this is always a bit of an interesting match. I mean, honestly, 2 of the most popular decks and archetypes in that 20-win challenge, and obviously both these gentlemen picking up that 20-win badge. And almost every competitor here at CRL 2023 has that 20-win badge.
Goblin Giant right-hand side. NATO to pull it all together. Archer going to work from a distance. And here we go. What can Mugi do with the dual lane pressure of the nasty new evolved Archers?
Yeah, those Evo Archers, when far enough away, are just absolutely devastating. You see right there that Phoenix Egg turning that Dark Prince around, keeps the Evo Archer on the board. Evo Archer on the right-hand side, gonna be ignored. That's what you have to do here for Adriel, who needs to put in some work here. Great lightning for Mugi.
Brilliant, brilliant lightning, and just like that, he takes the lead. Just over a minute left. Mugi just barely ahead.
And Barbell comes in for Mugi to take care of that Sparky, surviving with a sliver of HP, but enough to make Adriel say goodbye to it.
Slow play to the right-hand side. Goblin Giant plus Sparky. This Dark Prince going opposite lane pretty much the entire time.
The pacing, as you talked about before, from Adriel is really, really impressive for someone making their World Finals live stage debut here.
But he can't keep this pacing at this same spot, though, Andrew, because look, 30 seconds left, he's behind, and it's Lightning NATO against Fireball Rage. He has to get something done.
So you see him going high here with the Sparky, hoping that he can get that, I mean, away from that Lightning, but still not going to deal it because of those Evoed Archers sniping from across the board, and this might be the push to do it here for Mugi.
the late game heroics for Mugi, and this should be enough. Evo Archers go wild on the right-hand side. Fireball is not gonna do it, and the 2021 world champion opens up his 23 campaign with a win. He is used rather than trying to find openings from cards he used at this stage.
And talking about the numbers, you know, I mentioned in the previous matchup with Faust kind of struggling against that top 16 in terms of the best players in CRL here at World Finals. Adriel has an incredibly impressive win rate against a lot of these other guys. You know, it's the same thing you just talked about, you know, having that experience for almost 7 years. And, you know, the win rates, the numbers, they don't lie. You look at that, there's only a difference of 8 matches won between these two, and you would think that Mugi's would maybe be a bit higher, being a former world champion and #4 in 2022.
So a little more aggressive this time, and here we go. Big sigh from Mugi as he opens up Royal Giant to the right-hand lane. We don't see a ton of Evo Royal Giant these days. Obviously, Royal Giant was the dominant deck choice of the year, got the most wins with the more classic Royal Giant Skelly King deck, but as other Evos became more powerful, the Evo Royal Giant really fell by the wayside.
Yeah, but you know what, man? I do not care. I have said this year after year after year. It is a joy to watch Mugi play RG. The way that he starts to pick apart and anticipate your defense as the game moves on is an incredibly impressive thing, and that's when you got to start thinking. When you're playing against Mugi and he's playing RG, you got to do that Momo effect. You got to change up your defense every single time, because if you start repeating it, if you start getting in that rhythm, he will make you pay for it.
Reaching the midway point of regulation time, so far a slight, ever so slight lead for Adriel into that top left-hand tower, 26-23. Goes to add to it with Miner, and going to the safe spot again, already having confirmed he's not against Tornado, so would love to see Adriel begin to vary that as we get deeper into this game.
Excuse me, don't you know who I am?
24-75, 26-87 here. Log coming in, Log Fireball to deal with that Little Prince. And of course, that's one of the biggest gripes about Little Prince not dying to Fireball. Mugi says, I don't want to deal with it.
And that's one of those calculations that Adriel has to make there. Do I play the Evo Knight directly on the Royal Giant for the DPS, or do I give it a little bit of walking room to avoid the damage coming in from the Little Prince because of that shield? In this case, made the call to limit damage, and at the moment in a good spot with a chance to defend one more time.
Yeah, he's doing a really great job with his cycle here, making sure he has all the tools he needs, and of course stealing just a little bit of damage wherever he can. That poison on top of the fish boy was you know, something that maybe others might not do, but he's going, I need to take damage where I can, when I can, if you're going to play minor poison control against one of the best RG players in the world.
And now has to DPS. This Fisherman's gonna pull the Knight off the Royal Giant. This could be a big problem for Adriel. Can he get back to anything here? Not able to log this back. Not in cycle, gonna take a couple big evolved Royal Giant shots. 3 in, and the lead swings towards Mugi.
And that is not where you want to be. That much HP down when you're playing minor control. It really is hard to make up that gap as the game goes on. And the other thing you have to remember is that when we get to triple elixir, Mugi is going to have like 4, okay, maybe not 4, 3 Royal Giants in cycle. You know it's going to happen.
Delivery high, trying to cover for the Little Prince as the opposing Guardian gets called out by Mugi.
Mugi has played Royal Giant 23 times this year with a 70% win rate in CRL.
And nice early skeletons there to get ahead of the Miner. No damage in, but the poison will get its value against both that tower and the Fish Boy. With just over a minute left, lead not quite going to tick all the way over to Adriel, but he's in the conversation. But what will he do about this dual lane push?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a really, really exceptional job of using that 3-card cycle to keep up with Mugi's RGs. You want to make sure you can build up that Sim City, and as long as he can keep pace here, and now you see Mugi going, all right, I need to speed up my cycle a little bit. I need to stop taking damage, because we both know minor poison, that is going to cause damage. Mugi needing to get another RG on tower, it becomes really, really difficult if Adriel can just keep getting these bomb towers down.
And can he continue to abuse this 3-card cycle that does favor him ever so slightly with getting minors and poisons on the board? And this is what he really wants more than anything, is how long can you keep that Little Prince on the board in these final 30 seconds?
Yeah, you know, and the other thing that Adriel has been doing so well, Rich, is he's been sending the miner to the safe spot over and over and over, because he's waiting. Mugi is going, you have to change this up eventually, and he hasn't been doing it. Evo RG at the bridge, no bomb tower in cycle yet.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Did he get the push? He did get the push.
One shot in, 2-11. Poison down, opposite direction. Fireball will be available for
That's
Mugi.
it.
Now Miner
Miner
goes
to
the
the
other way. Miner gets on. Can it do enough? No, it will not. Mugi wins this one by a hair.
Beautifully done by Mugi.
As in for this matchup. No big surprises here. There are many more fans of Mugi besides my co-host here and his roommate.
Right there, Arden getting very aggressive, going in with the Hog Ice Spirit, going to be able to get one shot. Arden Toas, and great Tesla placement. I mean, he did not have a lot of elixir. If he had gotten predicted right there, that could have been very dangerous for him.
So slight variations on Hog from these two players, assuming that Arden is also playing Earthquake. I feel like, Josh, we saw very little Tesla until this World Finals.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, not afraid, even though he did lose already. He was part of that creation of the new meta. People understanding that maybe Tesla shouldn't be overlooked so much.
Mighty Miner cycled in the back for Arden. We'll see if Mugi is also running a champion here for that 3-card cycle. As we know, a lot of the CRL meta has begun. Oh, and a missed Tesla out of Arden Toa, snowball in, and 2 games in a row where Hog Riders slide on through for a ton of damage.
Yeah, and we see it right there. This is the reason why some of these pro players do not run the Tesla. It is a hard card to play down. To not make a mistake in 5 minutes is actually a challenge for a lot of players. And right there, we're already seeing it. 1 minute into the game, we see the first misclick of the day, the real first misclick of the day.
And so, as we were talking about, Mugi going more with the Evo meta, not playing a champion in this deck. Whereas Arden Toa's trying to get that 3-card cycle. Thoughts on, barring this Tesla mistake we saw earlier, thoughts on how these two decks match up?
Yeah, that's right. Mugi, I mean, it's just so hard to be able to decipher what the matchup should be just because of that one mistake. Arden Toa's, just the fact that he's running the Goblins should have been able to create a lot of pressure because you can't log it down with the snowball, obviously. And instead, we don't really get to see that anymore.
Hog to the right-hand side should get one despite the skeletons, and it does. Evo Firecracker out for Arden Toas, and we'll see if he can defend against this Hog and keep that Firecracker up to create some opposite lane pressure.
Yeah, and this regular Firecracker actually putting in a lot of work. The Evo Firecracker was not able to get those shots on top of the regular one. And right now, double Firecracker down in the right lane. Arden Toas trying to set up a push, but to no avail so far, especially with that great Tesla placement once again.
And you saw the Ice Spirit nearly making enough room for the Firecracker evolved to stay alive, but you just can't pull the fast ones on Mugi.
Yeah, and right now, Mugi not worried about the right lane. Left lane is going to be the more important one to worry about. Mugi just trying to set himself up so that way he can go with the Earthquake Snowball cycle on top of the tower. Maybe create a little bit of pressure with the Hog, but at this point, he's really just trying to get chipped from those Earthquakes.
And you can see that right there, not even worrying about trying to get the Earthquake onto the Tesla is Mugi, and now we see 2 Firecrackers behind a Hog on the right-hand side. Tesla with the Ice Spirit trying to take something out, and this Hog trying to sneak by, but already too much damage on the board to get it anywhere near that right-hand tower.
Yeah, and that one Firecracker getting just a little bit of chip damage tonight, not able to get the shot. So because of the health and how, I mean, we're seeing good pushes from Arden. We love to see him give himself a chance. That's exactly what you need to do at these World Finals.
Well, that's the big problem here, Josh, is with that Tesla mistake earlier, he didn't really give himself the chance that he needed. This is a match that feels like, from what we're seeing right now, would have been a lot closer had we not had that one misplacement.
Yeah, and that's all it takes at the World Finals. I mean, Arden, even at the very end, he's still making great plays, trying to go beat Hog in the back, cycling the Firecrackers, but it's just not gonna matter. 330 HP is the real number you have to be looking at. 5 elixir, I mean, we're just...
Oh boy.
Okay, giving himself a chance once again.
Late Tesla here, Hog in. And now Hog Rider trying to get past this one, 28 seconds left. Ice, Snowball, one connection, 330, 994, 23 seconds left, and it's just all Arden, all pressure, all day right now, all gas, no brakes. Can he break through?
Right there, Tesla plus the Knight going to be able to take out the Hog, and he's going to go in with his own offensive Hog. The Ice Spirit plus the Goblin's trying to do a little bit of something. Not going to matter. Mugi taking game number 1, finally gets that tower down.
And here we go, jumping into the action. And it seems that the chicken emote will be the first thing that comes out every single time. Shout out Heyday. So Lumberjack for Arden against a minor cycle variant for Mugi.
Royal Recruits coming out from Arden. We've seen Royal Recruits Lumberjack Ram Rider earlier yesterday. We could be seeing that once again. On the other side, Evo Archers. We expect to see that every single set.
And Skeleton Dragons, lots to deal with here, plenty of elixir to deal with it. And those recruits on the right-hand side, not a concern as Mugi poisons them off the board. He will have a little bit of a Mighty Miner to force out some elixir from Arden, but overall this will be pretty much even Stevens after our first minute.
Getting aggressive with a Miner, going to be getting a lot of chip damage, a lot of shovels on top of the tower, getting it down to 2749. 300 HP worth of damage. Always great value from a Miner to be able to get that amount of chip damage.
A nice little wall breaker kite there on the Brawler and goes coast to coast for the connection as well.
Pretty solid log timing, going to allow the Goblins to clean everything up, but not going to get any pressure whatsoever because of those Evoed Royal Recruits.
Passing the midway point of our first 3 minutes, and Mugi has opened up about a 300 hit point lead in both lanes, and now the first Evolved Archers come out. Good fireball to clear them off the board. But again, a wall breaker goes all the way.
Yeah, he's doing such a great job because Arden Toas, he has a lot of 3-4 elixir cards. When he gets those good offensive pushes going, he's not going to have the 1 elixir Skellies or Ice Spirit or Log. He has none of those troops inside his deck. So just, you're always going to be able to defend and then kite with those wall breakers.
And just playing very slow is Mugi. Almost everything being played behind King Tower, not trying to get into too many bridge fights right now, as we know that's exactly what Arden wants, playing this Ram Rider deck.
Poison just going to miss the Mother Witch. Great placement right there, and Arden Toas is going to be using that Ram Rider deck. Archer should be able to take everything out nicely, even with the help of the arrows. That is just great defense. 1 shot from the Royal Recruit, but that's okay. In a good spot is Mugi.
And Cage gonna pick up those wall breakers, and it seems like Arden is feeling the pressure to use those spells offensively, including the arrows, not giving him that option on defense against these wall breaker pushes.
Yeah, Mugi having no problems whatsoever on defense, even with the help of the spells on offense from Arden Toas, doing a great job just making sure that he has enough elixir. Beautiful activation of the ability, and that's going to be a Ram Rider push that is going to be going down easily.
And you see the fireball coming in for the Evolved Archer, for the Bomb Tower, just cannot do enough. And now arrows go left, which means the Miner and these Goblins go to the right easily. Mother Witch should go down. She does turn some piggies, but that's easy to deal with for Mugi.
Yeah, because of the Miner in the back, Arden Toas was faced with the decision, where can he place the Mother Witch where it's not going to start targeting onto the Miner instead of the Goblins. And because of that, Mugi was able to take out the Mother Witch, no problem whatsoever.
And there we go, finally some decent fireball value for Arden as he gets 1 Archer and the wall breakers, but again, stretching him thin is the 2021 champion. 832 on the right-hand side, courtesy of those Miner hits.
Yeah, right here, Lumberjack going to come down the lane, not going to go in with the Ram Rider, just going to try and set up with a little bit of a push, it's going to be a little bit dangerous. This is a good push, but it's countered very, very easily. My
now-
mistake, Mugi.
I was gonna say, now we start to have an Elixir advantage here for Arden, which he has not had very much. And here in Triple Elixir, this is where he can create some real danger, as he was up about 5 when he played those evolved recruits.
Evo Archer cycled in the back, Goblins to take out the right side with the help of the Mighty Miner. Not using the bomb tower just yet, just going to delay it so that way the Royal recruits don't take it out. I really like that he delayed the use of the bomb tower.
And look at the delay on the Ram Rider play, but still can't find a way through. These archers are creating a wall in the back of that defense.
Right now, Wahlberg is at the bridge. Miner going to chip it down. Good game coming from Arden Toes. Needs a little bit more defense. Arden Toes stepping away from the stage. It looks like it's going to be over. Mugi taking game number 2. Clean gameplay.
For the Melon shirt here. Similar to the community predictions, the 70-30, I just want to point out that Air Surfer has won 1 out of 3 matches versus Mugi so far this year. So those predictions pretty spot on with how this match could go.
Oh, decent log to start off the match. Air Surfer only getting the chip damage from the log, but you still love to see it forces out the delayed response from Mugi. So Air Surfer on the top, running the Mighty Miner, Ice Spirit Goblins, probably going to be another Hog Earthquake deck right there. Mugi, it could be a mirror. Just have to wait on the next couple of cards, but Hog EQ to start it out today. Love to see the mirror match to start it off.
I love this mirror match, and I love this deck. This Mighty Miner allows for 3-card cycle, allowing for multiple Firecrackers on the board and many Hog Riders. Really good play by Air Surfer here, though. Getting that early King Tower activation, that will give him a small advantage.
Right here, 1 minute into the day, Hog coming down from Air Surfer. Goblins in response going to need something else, and the log to help out the Goblins. No shots whatsoever. Both players just kind of resetting right now.
Other thing to think about is that Firecracker Evo cycle. I believe that Mugi is going to be having his Firecracker in cycle a little bit quicker, maybe able to have that evolution a little faster as well. A lot of the time, that evolution Firecracker forces out Earthquake plus Log in order to take it out.
And right here, you do have to look at the one slight difference in the mirror matchup. One player, Mugi, going to be running the Tesla. Air Surfer on the other side using the bomb tower. So during this match, Air Surfer is always going to struggle against these Hogs. He might want to place it offset to the opposite end, try and get those troop pushes that we've seen on Twitter. On the other side, Mugi is going to have an easy time defending with the Teslas outside of the Earthquake range.
And it really seems like Mugi has a very Air Surfer has a very solid control this match. He's getting those Earthquakes on the tower that he needs to attack, but Mugi taking this opportunity to attack the opposite lane, maybe that's something that he's confident in.
And right there, slight misclick, and he's going to be able to go in with the log. Goblins are still going to come down in time, and so not give up any damage, but right now, Air Surfer up by about 350 HP. Mugi going in with the Hog behind the King Tower.
Here comes a Hog Rider from Air Surfer as well. Evo Firecracker is in cycle for both players. We see Earthquake plus Log go down to take that out. Will his Hog Rider connect on the left-hand side? No, Ice Spirit's gonna stop. All around though, Mugi getting the damage lead for the first time this match.
And right there, that is a massive push going down the field. Tesla snipes the Firecracker. That was a beautifully placed Tesla from Mugi. That could have been absolutely dangerous if he messed up that interaction.
Mighty Miner in the back from Mugi once again. Air Surfer is pretty close to getting his Hog Rider back in cycle with a 3-card cycle. He might go for it very soon. Hog Rider from both players once again. Let's see how Mugi defends.
And right here, Tesla low. Wow. No Earthquake so far from Air Surfer. Air Surfer just going to respond with the bomb tower. But a little bit of Earthquake damage coming in again. Mugi kind of flipping the matchup, takes the lead now.
Yeah, he's playing this to a T. Firecracker on the right, not going to get that very important shot. We have 38 seconds until Triple Elixir. How does this match really change once we hit that Triple Elixir time, Josh?
Well, I think we do have to take a look at just how Mugi is playing this matchup. Going in early with the Hogs behind the King Tower, it's very clear to see that Mugi knows exactly how to play this mirror matchup. It is obviously something he has practiced heavily throughout these World Finals.
Hog Rider inbound. Evo Firecracker is supporting Log, is going to hit the Firecracker pre-log on Ice Spirit to try and keep the Firecracker alive, but he does miss. Evo Firecracker connects on tower, and so does those Goblins.
And right now, Air Surfer looks to be going to the opposite lane. Should switch it up, go same lane. Instead, goes in with the Firecracker. And we see him go Firecracker on the right side, so that way his opponent, Mugi, doesn't get any Log Earthquake value.
Here's the Evo Firecracker at the bridge. Will it get a shot on Tower? Hog Rider inbound, bomb tower to defend. Log coming through, hits the Firecracker. Evo Firecracker is chipping that tower down, and this is massive damage for Mugi.
Right here, Air Surfer finally realizing that he has to go to the left lane. Firecracker going to get sniped by the Tesla. This could be a little bit of damage. Right now, the Hawk should make it to the tower if nothing else comes down right there.
Another Tesla in cycle. Earthquake does not hit. Log does hit the Goblins, though. It's such a close game. Will this Firecracker connect on tower? No, it will not, but Mugi's Earthquake will.
Air Surfer begging to try and get chip damage from the Firecracker. Earthquake coming down, and right now Mugi just needs to defend out, and he's gonna win the game.
There goes the Earthquake. Mugi taking game 1 versus Air Surfer in our first match of day 3.
What a battle between these two players. Air Surfer taking an early lead. A lot of the crowd begging for the mortar. We're gonna see if that happens. But a lot of these pro players do not like giving in to that peer pressure, which is very honorable right there. Phoenix coming down from Air Surfer. We saw the quick cycle in game number 1. I would expect to see heavier. Air Surfer is using the Bowler E-Giant deck. NATO an option for him, so the NATO plus the Tombstone, he's gonna, I think he's not gonna have too much trouble unless Mugi can come out of nowhere with some of these balloon pushes.
Bowler able to lock on tower for 1 shot, giving Air Surfer a slight damage lead and an elixir advantage as well. Barbarian Barrel plus a balloon at the bridge. How does Air Surfer defend? He has a Tombstone, but he doesn't have Tornado. But like you said, he does have the Evo Archers.
And right there, no death damage, I believe, coming in from Mugi. We're gonna have to wait and see. And yes, no death damage whatsoever. Air Surfer with a very clean defense and a 3 elixir advantage as well. So Air Surfer, Phoenix, Tombstone, NATO, Archers. Definitely, wow. I mean, Mugi doesn't have a big spell as well. We could see Air Surfer defend for the rest of the match if he wanted to.
Here comes the mine on the right, in the safe spot once again. Doesn't want to allow a King Tower activation. Air Surfer actually allowing this damage to go through. Maybe he's going to go for an Electro Giant with this Bowler once again. There it is.
Yeah, so we're gonna see if Air Surfer is going to be using the Lightning variation. He could try and snipe the Lightning plus the Archers. Will he get the correct placement? And he absolutely does. This E-Giant is going to be an absolute menace. The guards doing their absolute best, but it's not gonna matter. This left tower is gonna go down, 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 down to 2377. Air Surfer taking a very slight advantage, but in a beautiful spot right now.
And once again, after that very nice aggression, you have the playing field level, and Air Surfer's up elixir once again. That's the thing about Electro Giant. Not only is it going to push and do damage, but if played correctly, you can prevent any counter push as well.
Lightning coming down, going to take out the left side Archer. We're gonna have to see if the bar barrel in tow will work out, and it does. Monk in response, and it's going to be able to take out the Bowler, but just an interesting use of the ability right there. And the Bowler actually stays alive. That is massive for Air Surfer.
And now it's Air Surfer's turn to have these Evo Archers. He does have arrows for it. 1 survives. And look at this bomb tower absolutely getting shredded. Will this E-Giant make it to the tower once again?
And right there, E-Giant going to get just a little bit of baby damage, getting the tower down to 2386. But we're seeing it constantly. Air Surfer getting 1 good push in, boom, immediate reset. It feels like Air Surfer is ahead in elixir by at least 6 or 7 throughout these last 2 minutes.
Monk ability once again deflecting the Bowler shot, tanking that Phoenix as best as possible. Snowball gonna slow everything down, but this bomb tower is dead to the Lightning. And that's the other thing about E-Giant, and it's why that these Lightning decks are countering so many of these minor poison decks. You can just apply pressure throughout the match, Lightning cycle, and it's enough to really kind of do enough to win the game.
Not able to get any chip damage right there. Mugi finally sensing an opportunity to go in, goes in with the miner behind the crown tower, and
wait, this balloon.
Good push coming in, but I believe, and he's not gonna be able to do anything to it right there. A great adjustment for Mugi, just waiting for that opportunity to strike, and he does it beautifully. 1 minute left, triple elixir on its way, and Mugi up by 1,000 HP worth of damage.
Yeah, now this is a situation you don't want to be in. Miner goes to the back, it's getting chipped. Phoenix Tombstone once again to defend, but he needs damage. And it's so hard to break through at this point because you were relying on Lightning Cycle. Look at the balloon!
Oh!
It connects again!
It gets the shot! 2-0 sweep from Mugi right there!
Wow, and I...
Big splashes, if you will. I don't know if you saw what I did there. Yeah, thank you very much.
Dang it.
And Mugi going with what we now call the Muhammad Light opening, with the wall breakers behind King Tower.
Right there, it's a very simple play, but if they split the minions behind the King Tower, you can get maximum value, taking out all the minions and a little bit of chip damage on the Crown Tower.
So might we expect a Mega Knight Prince here out of Mugi in this deck, Josh?
Yeah, you have to assume with the arrows plus wall breakers, that's always looking like it's going to be the case. And on the flip side, Pedro, again, running Mortar. I mean, this is why Muhammad Light was talking about him as one of the most feared opponents. Even if you're able to predict him running that Mortar, he's just so fundamentally sound with it.
Reminds me of another player who had a phenomenal World Finals debut back in 2019.
Oh, that's a right. Oh, I forgot to mention that. But yes, Pedro is having the run of his lifetime, and it is exactly like what Igor was able to accomplish with Team Liquid back in 2019.
And this is a huge counterplay out of Pedro very early, getting this right-hand tower down to 2271 and decides to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, and right there, Miner in response for Mugi, but Pedro up Elixir, able to protect it beautifully right there, especially with the help of the log. And Pedro doing his little happy dance, making some really good plays.
And again, just protecting the heck out of this mortar, and it gets a lock. Miner on the tower, and you see Mugi, the tilt of the head. Maybe cannot believe how far in the future Pedro's been so far.
Pedro, at this point, still up 1 Elixir. One of his mortars cycled, so that way he's closer to his evolution. And right now, there it is. There's the second mortar. Mortar evolution going to be on its way next time it gets placed down.
A lot of people have asked, who the heck is Pedro? Who is this guy? And it's really because he almost wasn't even on the map last year, but then began this 2023 campaign with a #1 finish on Ranked in February, alongside 2 other top 10 finishes on alternate accounts.
Right
And
there.
then, yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Right there, Mega Knight not getting a great jump, taking out the Little Prince almost all the way, and that would have been absolutely massive if he could have protected the Little Prince properly. Goblins in response, and that's going to be a mortar lock. No! Arrows are going to come down just in time, so great defense from Mugi. That was looking scary for him.
Both players take a moment to reset. Final 10 seconds of regulation time. Sudden death on its way. And Mugi just has not figured out the math for this matchup yet.
Poison over the middle of the map. Ice Spirit as well. Going to take out the Ghost as well. So again, Pedro, knowing his interactions, knowing that it's going to be taken completely off the board, and when you are forced into positions where you have to do the Prince against the Mortar, it is just so ugly. It is difficult to defend properly, and we see it right there with a Mortar lock.
This is a lot coming in now. Miner goes to the Evolved Archers, Ice Spirit plus minions for the wall breakers. They get them all. Does the Prince charge? No. Log in. Still has to contend with these bats. And right now it's Mugi putting the pressure on.
Yeah, right there. Beautiful stuff from Pedro. He's going to allow a little bit of damage, but he's not going to allow the tower. Instead, the bats lock on, but the goblins come down just in time.
70 seconds left. Lead for Pedro is substantial, almost 1,000 HP in that 900 plus range at the moment. But Triple Elixir does allow these Mega Knights and Princes to begin to stack.
And right there, Pedro recognizing the matchup and how he's supposed to play. Will he activate the ability? And he absolutely does. Right here, the poisons are always going to be super value. We're going to see the poisons every time the archers come down on the board.
38 seconds left. Healthy Mega Knight and Prince on the right-hand side. Poison no longer available for those evolved archers in the middle. Royal Ghost getting away on the left-hand lane. Miner has to defend against the Mega Knight in the middle. Royal Ghost plus evolved archer on the left-hand side. And now suddenly, significant damage on both sides.
Yeah, right there, the Miner is going to chip away. We need the Miner on the left side. 17 seconds left.
Pre-goblins in the back for Pedro. Mega Knight comes down, Mortar high. Ice Spirit to reset the Miner. Arrows come in, another Miner down, poison ticks. That will not be enough, and Pedro is one win away from our grand final.
Incredible work from Pedro right there.
All right, guys, stop. It's E-Golem. That would be crazy if that actually came out right there.
I've got a good feeling it won't.
So Pedro going to the archers as his evolution here in game number 2.
Doing it for the fan.
And Little Prince out for Mugi with the poison not available. And that's a lot of graveyard damage very early, Josh.
Yeah, that's right. Huge cheers for Mugi right there. Pedro just messing up the defense, and it really is as simple. This is one of the most basic tips you can ever have for graveyard. Archers are out of cycle, let's go all in.
And now trying to get some of that back is Pedro with Bowler and archers behind this Electro Giant.
Bowler getting stuck right there, and that is very unfortunate for Pedro. If the Bowler had just bowled one time, that could have been very intimidating for Mugi. Potentially could have flipped how much damage both of these players have done. Instead, Mugi in the driver's seat.
Well timed by Pedro, setting up that tombstone in the back. And now another slowdown here as Pedro just chooses to change the conversation to the other side of the arena.
So the reason why we're seeing Tombstone placed in the back behind the Crown Tower is because, well, actually, no, just kidding. I was thinking that he had Lightning for Mugi. That's not true. That's what's in Pedro's deck. Instead, just trying to slow down the game. That's why we're seeing the Tombstone in the back.
And again, continuing to want to make Mugi switch lanes. No problem there for the former world champion playing Graveyard.
A lot of splash yards seen today, and we haven't seen a ton of success so far, but we might be seeing it right here. Great start for Mugi.
And the Bowler, a little bit of room. That's an aggressive evolved archers here.
And right there is that 3, is that 4 bowls on top of the tower. Wow. We see Mugi upset right there. It is shocking how the Bowler was able to get so much damage. And that's actually one of those things. The Knight, it's supposed to be so great because ranged troops aren't going to be doing a ton of damage right there. It's able to stay alive and allow the Bowler to bowl.
And Pedro gets an extra shot from the archer on the left-hand side, so suddenly the change of lanes has given him the lead, 1837 to 1261.
So right now, Tombstone in the back.
Death, Mugi has nearly tied things up.
Doing it for the fan.
How does Pedro want to respond? Split archers behind the King Tower. Mugi could be getting very aggressive right here, and he does. Knight Graveyard at the bridge. NATO in response, not going to allow a tank, and the tower, with the help of one archer and the Baby Dragon, going to clean up everything very nicely.
75 seconds left. The margins so close between these two.
And one thing I've recognized throughout this tournament is that bridge bowlers are so valuable because of those tombstones and the fact that these tombstone skeletons are going to be taken away, and we see it right there. That is huge for Pedro.
NATO pulls things back. Bowler does go, but does not take the Little Prince off the board. Finally, Little Prince gone, and now Pedro poured it on in the left-hand lane. Graveyard play probably incoming here, or was that just a fate for Mugi?
And right there, Archer's in response. Tombstone is going to stay perfectly healthy. Will the bowler get a shot? Oh my goodness! Knight does not kite, but that's okay.
Electro Giant in, Tombstone to pull all the way over. Bowler goes to that left-hand lane. E-Giant does not pull with the Tornado.
And right there, 1203, 300 HP separate in the two plays. He needs to get a Tombstone down, and he does.
13 seconds left. 886, 922. Graveyard and Poison in. Tombstone, Baby Dragon to defend. So are the Archers. Lightning. Will it tick enough? 587.
Oh,
no, it
Pedro does it!
Oh,
Pedro does it!
Pedro wins by 18 HP.
And looking at those community predictions, it's so hard not to pick, or it's hard to pick against Pandora after he said, "I am the best."
I know.
I mean, what a hard quote.
That confidence just through the roof, and you love to hear it. You know, he talks about being underrated. Everyone kind of thinking that he doesn't have what it takes to be here. He got lucky last year. Maybe he got lucky this year. He was the first one to get given a golden ticket. Blah, 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 blah. Now he is top 3 in the world going up against a former world champion, and they have met one other time this year back in August. Mugi actually taking that 2-0, and we'll see if Pandora can turn the tide on those statistics.
Phoenix walking towards this boulder, going to be a great way of taking that out. And Fisherman here as well. Will Pandora hold the Fisherman in with the Tornado? It looks like he's going to just kind of let it do its thing. And we see an RG opposite lane.
Yeah.
Wow. Mugi was realizing the Tornado had to come out the Fisherman and went immediately for it.
And I like this. So he's going to take a lot of damage, but the Phoenix is going to be able to clean things up enough. And Mugi in a tower trade situation, now in a good spot to use the ability, yes, and we'll see how Pandora wants to respond.
I gotta talk about the matchup here. I always do. It's definitely in favor of Electro Giants, but
That's a big connection,
look at this
Juice.
connection. The little prince, along with the log, gonna take this tower in lightning range.
And you see there Mugi maybe feeling the first bit of relief in the last 20+ minutes after that rough set against Pedro. 1190, 179. Mugi in a position where he can basically just spell cycle this out, assuming that final card will probably do enough damage, as Pandora needs to put together a fantastic minute and 15.
And it's very possible, once again, Royal Giant's only big counter to the Electro Giant is the Fisherman, but you can Tornado that Fisherman in and counteract it completely, which is why Mugi is going to keep applying pressure and make it so hard for him to go for the Electro Giant push.
That's a great call. All the things you say right there, Juice. Aggressive RG at the bridge. NATO now something you don't have to worry about on the counter push. Mugi already has this game sewn up in spell power, so what is he going to do? He needs to get ahead of his opponent. Not sit back and defend, but like you said, create pressure so your opponent cannot get those perfect big E-Giant pushes. And once again, RG at the bridge.
But this time, Pandora has the Evil Archers and cycled the Barbarian Barrel for this offense as well. RG does get a couple shots, but he knows he has to take some damage if he wants to deal some back. Electro Giant getting taken out. There's another one at the bridge. Egg still alive for both players, but Mugi's egg will reign supreme and be perfect for the defense here.
Excuse me, don't you know who I am?
And 585 remaining on that top tower, 179 on the bottom right. Fireball comes in. And a nice, easy cruise to victory here for Mugi. As you see that damage in early on, he holds on. A tower trade situation that really does pay off.
Yeah, the tower trade situation. Okay, we went from calling out random cards to just yelling loud noises. I am a little bit confused about that.
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys, try a little harder. This is the lower bracket finals. So here we go, Skelly Drag split in the back as Mugi leaking a little bit of elixir, showing us those Evo Archers, split Goblins in front to protect. And Evo Recruits down low.
Evo Recruits, and Mugi has a Mighty Miner. Mighty Miner, not the card you want versus those Recruits. I'd much rather have a Valkyrie or even just a Knight.
Yeah, I mean, earlier this year, I believe that was one of the reasons we stopped seeing Mighty Miners, because we started seeing Rogue Recruits absolutely everywhere. Ram Rider comes in here and pushes it back just a bit before it connects on this bomb tower. And that should be a nice, clean defense here from Mugi.
I have to point out that that Ram Rider usually would not go to the direction of that bomb tower, but in this situation, it was pushed by the recruits along with the help of that Mighty Miner bomb to make sure that was a clean, 0 damage taken defense from both players now.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely clean across the board, 30-52 as you can see.
Archers in the back from Mugi. So we have Evo Archers versus Evo Recruits. Pandora does have those arrows to deal with the regular Archers, but once they're in the Evo form, it's going to be very difficult for him to break through.
I'm happy to see Mugi playing wall breakers here. He's played them 42 times on the season with a 74% win rate.
Wall breakers might be showing why he's got that very nice
what
win
a
rate.
great connection there. Still completely perfect on defense, but now is when those Royal recruits get a little dangerous. And bomb tower, perfect there.
I mean, we talked about it yesterday. Royal recruits bait out the bomb tower, and then they go for the Ram Rider. But look at that, Evo Archers in cycle, and the snowball. Gonna be a great way to lock down that Ram Rider.
And one of those archers untouched, so you don't want arrows on top of them, obviously. We'll see how Pandora wants to take care of it as he sets up a God Cage here and a Lumberjack. And then we see Mugi going fancy footwork opposite lane. Mighty Miner tanking for the regular Miner.
Wall breakers kiting the Lumberjack backwards, but it does get taken out, so they will not connect. But still, that Miner chip on the left-hand side is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, just a little early on those wall breakers, right, Juice? You play them just a little bit later, you can get a little bit of threatening push with those wall breakers, but instead Lumberjack takes them both out. Not exactly what Mugi wants, but could be worse.
And we see the Mother Witch. Mother Witch could have potential to get a lot of value here, spawning more pigs. And we see a cage in the back from Pandora. I mean, what a play. He's just banking up elixir similar to an elixir pump.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting play. And then the worst thing that happens in his mind is the Goblin Brawler pops out and just goes down the left-hand lane. Best case scenario is you see Mugi kind of pause the brakes, or hit the brakes, I should say, on sending out any miners. Ram Rider connects on the right, second cage comes down.
And now we see one of the weirdest things in Clash Royale, 2 Goblin Brawlers on the board, but they're getting wiped out by these Evo Archers. Fireball will take them out, but now he's low in elixir. He does not have cage and cycle.
And
Minor wall breakers in, that's a double connection.
That's huge! The pre-snowball knows that the Goblin Cage is out. Or both Goblin Cages are out with the pre-cycle there from Pandora. Mugi taking control of this, now only 291 HP. He needs a miner, he needs a snowball, and he needs a poison, and he stays alive in this competition.
Going from $80,000 to $125,000 as well. That is the change in pricing for this match. There's only 1 minute, 20 seconds left here.
And good pressure here, but Mugi knows he can clean it all up because he has had immaculate defense throughout this entire game.
Mother Witch gets taken out here. Here comes the Lumberjack at the bridge. Minor poison. I think that's going to be enough to finish it off.
Juicy. Our former world champion of 2021 has a shot to make history, making it to our grand finals again here in first. Game 1 of the final match of the 2023 World Finals starts now.
Into it. They've been loud all night. But now they got the big one.
And Hog Rider out early here for Mugi. It has been his favorite win condition this year in CRL, having a lot of games played with a beautiful win rate.
And Pedro puts Knight in the back, and a little bit of a deviation from his normal fare where you typically see that mortar come out, maybe trying to be a little unpredictable here with it all on the line.
46 plays has Mugi done in CRL with the Hog Rider. Tesla, the building of choice here in 2023 World Finals.
And Pedro varying position right out the gate, getting the correct read that
Future
almost
king over
certainly
here.
he is not against the tornado.
And Monk is just everywhere, does so well against Little Prince, does so well against those Evo Archers. Gets a nice pushback there on Guardian, goes targets the Little Prince.
And Pedro with a small elixir advantage, but nothing really to take advantage of it. So splits Goblins high, Tesla out, easy response, and Pedro reading something there as he cycles that Knight.
2 untouched towers top of your screen, but only a lick of damage on the bottom right. As we see another Hog Rider come in here from Mugi, and right now I think they're just feeling each other out, Rich, trying to see how, if anyone's gonna make any mistakes early, and then I imagine once we get down to a minute left of gameplay, things get a little spicier.
Oh, certainly they will. And interesting you talk about that feeling out process, Andrew, the not playing an Earthquake early on that bomb tower, instead just maintaining this even game.
Yeah, same thing there. You're talking about with getting that miner cycled in the back. Pedro knowing that's his best response.
Oh,
Look
wow.
at that. Goes for the King Tower activation. Learns that from Air Surfer. We saw Air do it earlier on today, and we saw how much that helped that game.
And there you get really in high relief the thing that we saw happen in Mohamed Light's matchup against that Monk, how wide that earth is that you have to give it for the reflection.
And it's so funny, you know, you talk about that on broadcast, and I think a lot of people were kind of like, well, that's not, is that a duh statement for pros? But if you saw online, there were so many people that were talking about, oh yeah, that range, that splash, that reflect, I can't believe that it actually got the reflect back. And, you know, if it's able to trick Momo, it makes a lot of sense.
Hog to the opposite lane here. This time, now that we're in double, you see the not just Earthquake, but Snowball as well. Mugi selling out for one hog shot on the left.
And I like that. He goes and recognizes that he's not going to really be able to break through in single elixir, so how can he make things happen? And then you talk about Pedro. I've heard many people talk about this. First of all, it feels like he's just playing ladder. He just keeps coming out with the same thing. You kind of heard Morton say it. It's like, you know what he's going to hit you with. He's going to hit you with minor poison control, and guess what? You cannot stop him.
Mugi going for some creativity here, Hog way in the back. Earthquake does not get on the bomb tower. Little Prince trying to stop the Hog. One shot will get it anyway, though. And look at the miner on the opposite side. Blow for blow. These two are trading as we enter sudden death.
And it's so impressive because you look at Pedro being able to keep up and have the damage lead with just basically that miner plus poison chip. These Hog Riders have connected a few times, and you see right there, he just goes, all right, poison on top of one archer, no problem. Mugi continues to sell out. Perfect timing, though, on the defense.
Pedro opening up the lead a little bit, 80 seconds left, 13:58 to 16:33. Pressure stays on. That Ice Spirit is not available to reset that miner at all, so has to rely on the Evo Archers as Mugi sets up his next Monk to the left.
This is just so crazy. You know what he's gonna play, you know what he's coming out with, and you just cannot seem to break through. You know, you think you maybe just go straight up counter for minor poison, but look at this, perfect defense after perfect defense. Mugi trying to beat the cycle.
And the late bomb tower stops at 889 to 1066. We are very tight.
Guardian plus Little Prince at the bridge. Miner now to the back. That's it, Rich. That's tower down. That's tower down.
Little Prince ticking away. It's staying up, and that's it. Pedro is one win away from being world champion. A little bit of shaky fingers there from Pedro. Maybe finally the moment is starting to click for him that this could be it.
$250,000 is a life-changing amount of money for anyone. But you talk about a rookie, how young you are, how fresh and new your career is. $250,000 on the line.
And that rage, you see Pedro take a moment and evaluate, has a feeling he's against the deck that has done so much nasty work this weekend.
Yeah, that Goblin Giant deck with the minions and the Evoed Bats has been so tough to keep up with. And Pedro sitting back, leaking some elixir, leaking a bunch of elixir, trying to think just how he wants to move forward here.
A little chip damage left-hand lane. Both players slow things way down. First minute passed, and just a little touch on the bottom right and on the top left.
What's fascinating about this is Mugi was not going to hold at all, but then based off of Pedro, who apparently has struck a little bit of fear in our former world champion, he goes, all right, fine, I guess I had to slow things down, play at your pace, and just several seconds away from getting into that double elixir and figuring things out moving forward.
Well, Mugi just got beat by Pedro with Electro Giant not 20 minutes ago, maybe half an hour ago. So he's sitting here seeing the Evo Archers and the Barb Barrel and wondering if he's about to suffer the same fate once more.
And 17 seconds remaining before we get to double elixir, and you can imagine this is going to be a hot and heavy last minute of regulation. Again, Mugi back against the wall, facing elimination. Pedro with lives to give, with a set to give. One game away from glory.
And Team Bowler goes wild. Not sure if that smile from Mugi was in response to the cheers. And it's Bowler plus Mega Knight.
A very, very heavy deck, which makes sense why Mugi wanted to slow things down. There's the Goblin Giant as well. So busting out and pulling out all the stops is our 2021 World Champion. Skeleton King.
Maybe Royal Giant here instead of the Electro Giant.
Yeah.
With the Phoenix in tow, and of course the Skeleton King.
That's getting great value on that left-hand side. Nice value fireball there as well. And those two Phoenixes will be distracted. There's the RG coming down. Fish Boy right in front of that King.
And Mega Knight comes down to help the DPS, but that's going to be a few big-time shots. Lead opened up for Pedro, 23-31.
And this is a great counter push. You get the Goblin Giant behind the Mega Knight. That way the Spears can help out with the Phoenix. Then you have the Evo Bats coming in. The Phoenix Egg pop. I don't know if that Fireball was actually necessary, and we will see. Pedro gets that Fisherman out, though, just in time, Rich.
That is a clutch King Tower activation. Some Spears still get on that right-hand tower, but Pedro able to get his Evolved Archers out and set up for his next push.
Goblin Giant coming down here from our former champion on the right-hand side. The rookie, though, ice in his veins.
A Goblin Giant, a Mega Knight, a Bowler, and Rage, all on this left-hand lane.
That Bowler is raged up, but still, he's just kind of caught in traffic over and over. These defenses from Pedro have been pretty clean, but nice damage there on the left-hand side for Mugi.
Not quite caught up, but very close, courtesy of the left-hand tower of Mugi, down to 1999, is the current biggest lead as the former champion sets up in that weak side lane.
1 minute remains in what could be the last match of 2023.
Just piling everything on here at the bridge, trying to find a way to break through. Rage just not quite doing it yet. Pedro managing his cycle very, very well.
Rich, the rookie, looks like he might be taking this already, completely controlling this game. Now, finally, the second RG comes in.
And goes to the non-Bowler side, which is interesting. Does get one more shot, but keep in mind, both those sides fairly even. Has not opened up a more significant lead as the Goblin Giant comes in, and the Tombstone.
The MK hits the Tombstone. The MK hits the Tombstone. That Goblin Giant can get to tower.
Fireball onto the Evolved Archers. Fish Boy not doing very much, and suddenly the lead in both lanes heavy for Mugi. Pedro with his last gasp here in game 2.
We're going to game number 3. The Fisherman connects on the right side. Damage on the left, and Mugi stays alive.
And you saw Pedro taking a look here, evaluating eventually, but no Evo Archers, so a different variation would be necessary.
And a good luck in both directions, and little extra couple bit of emotes there, and you can't call that BM. That's just love going back and forth between two competitors that respect the heck out of each other.
And not a big surprise here for Hog Rider out of Pedro. Wants to play just reflexively, reactively.
And Mugi may be going back to wall breakers. He had a lot of success with it in his previous set against Pandora. Would love to see that. I believe it's his second most dominant win condition.
And certainly looks like that might be the case.
Don't you know who I am?
We saw some Hog Rider Royal Ghost Bandit. Now we're seeing Hog Rider Royal Ghost with Prince. And I like what we're seeing here out of Pedro. You know, a big stray away from just completely controlling the game.
And wow,
Yeah.
recruits are huge here. You have to imagine Pedro, after Fisherman being out, wasn't expecting maybe to be against the recruits. And here he finds himself with a lot to deal with.
This dual lane pressure is scary. MK comes down. Great job by Mugi, though, not using the ability there. Maybe expecting the MK to come down after seeing Prince and that Royal Ghost. And had he used that Guardian ability, Rich, that could have been a lot of trouble.
Hog in now that the bomb tower is out. Miner to mitigate the damage. This is going to be a few big-time shots, though, with no King Tower activated, just the Miner and the Log. Forced expenditure. Mugi survives and gets damaged, but finds himself very down on Elixir.
Yeah, really, really nice there. I mean, kind of making something out of nothing in terms of that defense. Gets some good wall breaker connections on that left-hand side. Doesn't take too much damage on the right. Continues the damage lead on both towers.
Excellent little kite there from the Spear Goblins.
Yeah.
But as we go into double elixir time, Mugi just getting a little bit more chip here.
Kneel, numbskulls.
And I like what Mugi's doing. He has to continue to go into that opposite lane. He cannot try to ram his head against an MK Prince Royal Ghost push with a Firecracker, Hog Rider, all that. He needs to make sure that he is splitting up his opponent's attention.
Pedro opting to take one here, and that's a well-timed Guardian.
He needs another tank here, and there they go. Evo recruits come in.
And that will open up some damage for Pedro, but Mugi now putting tons of work in on both lanes. Arrows finally come out, and Pedro stops some wall breakers.
16:33, 22:96, 15 seconds remain here in regulation of game number 3.
Prince finally not facing goblins or recruits for a half second. Log for some knockback. Can it get to? No, the defensive wall breakers stop the Prince from getting to the bomb tower. Bats trying to clear. Hog should get one.
And that was a great job of Mugi mitigating that damage from the Prince, having to pick his priorities there. Does take care of the Prince, and like you said, takes one shot, but he's using his health as a resource. 12:28 now to 18:50.
Continuing to get poison value is Mugi just over and over again. And Pedro doesn't have many options to not give it to him.
And I like this opposite lane. Arrows should come out on top of these wall breakers. And now Mugi setting up for defense once again. High Evo recruits, regular recruits.
And Pedro must be happy to have all those in one lane for once. Of course, the evolved ones will be coming very soon. Now Miner plus Spears left-hand lane for Mugi. Bats trying to hold, but that's a ton of damage. Miner on the tower, Spears do a ton, and Mugi has opened this thing wide open.
Royal Ghost does connect, but a great job there with the wall breakers, Rich, to stop that Evo Firecracker. Seems like the most dangerous part of that push. Mugi did a sellout push on the left-hand side, gets great damage out of it, and perfect defense, and now should be back to Evo recruits. There we go.
Pedro's having so much difficulty with the miners because the best ways to catch them are tools he really needs for offensive pressure. And there you go. Miners in, Wallbreaker in, Prince finally able to stop a miner, but then recruits come right behind him.
4:05 to 9:47, but miner chip is all that Mugi's been getting here late. And you know that's just a couple hog hits, an MK leap. He's got to play perfect now, just needs to poison it out.
Poison in. And that's it, Andrew. We are going to a bracket reset, best of 3 for the World Championship.
And this is where things get really crazy, Rich, because you talk about the pressure.
You know he wants to do it, but I really have to hope that Pedro does not open minor poison here.
I know. I mean, but it's one of those things. It's like, you really think I'm going to do it again right now? And as of right now, it looks like he just might be running it back. And then we'll see if Mugi takes a page here out of Juicy's book and goes for something heavy, goes for something with lightning. Fisherman, not a bad sign of that.
And this little Prince is going to get picked up and reset by the Fisherman. Mugi splits his goblins in the back. And here we go. It's Mortar game number 1.
And Gob Giant right into it.
What up, future king?
And as a Mortar player, this isn't a great spot to be in, but you do have that little Prince to help everything out. And Valkyrie, we have not seen a lot of her in this competition, and you see Pedro bringing it out in the biggest moments.
And opting to save the elixir and not call in the Guardian throughout that whole exchange. Happy to sacrifice a little bit of damage.
Oh, and now he has an opening to do it. Those bats stop it. Now we see a miner going behind. Is that a small mistake? No, Mugi has some decent defense for it.
Bats for both, but Evo Mortar for Pedro. Evo Bats for Mugi as he mortars to the opposite lane.
And Little Prince, a great response to that. You see Pedro maybe playing a little bit too similarly to how he has in the past. You knew he was going to get doubled down. You knew he was going to try to protect the Mortar. Mugi immediately pulls the trigger on that Guardian and gets some good damage out of it.
This might be the second or third time Valkyrie's been played all weekend.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to come out in this moment.
And Mugi maybe opting to take some damage. He knows Mortar is out of cycle. He knows he can double down on this push. And if his opponent is able to cycle all the way back around, Mugi's thinking he could take advantage of that with his spell power. There we go. Evil Mortar at the bridge. You knew it was coming.
And doing a good job taking advantage of the focus that Mugi had to place on the little prince there to engage with the bats there at the bridge.
And Mugi ready for every single one of these minors so far, Rich. 25-87, 27-09. Our former world champion is turning up the heat. Fireball Rage on top. You know it's coming.
Oh, boy.
That is brilliant.
Bats in. They are being tanked for by the Guardians, so they will survive for a while.
And to pick up a game off of Pedro while he's playing Miner is such a huge swing in momentum.
Oh,
and look at that, predictive Miner, Rich.
And the snowball behind. Will this be enough to get Mortar on tower? No, Goblin Giant goes to the opposite lane. Pedro trying to protect, but that Mortar's not gonna get as much as he would like.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit too much. All of us Mortar players have been there before. You want to double down at the bridge. You want to make sure you can get that connection, but look at that right-hand tower. Mugi is so happy to eat those maybe 2 Mortar shots. No, takes 1 down to 1060.
Take some to give some, and now the Mega Knight comes out. Mugi maybe realizing that Pedro struggled against the rage plays. This time not throwing the bowler in here as well.
And I love this play because the worst thing that happens when you cycle those goblins, Rich, is you can't pick up a Miner. But look at the push on that right-hand side.
Devastation, 884, 90 seconds left. And Mortar has just not had the magic that's carried Pedro thus far.
A very nice Goblin Giant. I was kind of looking at the elixir bar there of Mugi, wondering how he wanted to respond. He has played this absolutely perfectly. 1981 now to 884.
Finally starting to catch up a little bit is Pedro, but is the gap too big with 90 seconds left playing Mortar Miner against... There you go.
I like this play a lot, Rich. I really think you got to go hyper-aggressive because we all know Miner Poison, 3-card cycle, and you see Pedro's face. He knows he got caught looking. Mugi, back-to-back wins, and now is 1 game away from being repeat world champion.
Pedro has got to be shaking in his boots. That was nice.
That must be Rich over there.
And Pedro may be just trying to get some emotes out, just so his fingers do something and he feels a little more comfy.
Yeah, I mean, comfort is what he needs. He doesn't have his comfort deck. He loses with it in game 1. He has the advantage in the previous set. And now all of a sudden, a man that's been here before is just 5 minutes away from glory.
And it's interesting, Andrew, we've taken the whole weekend without really any real staring contests. And then here today, in the last couple of matches, we've seen not 1, but 2.
And you wonder how much of that is actually nerves, right? You know, you go back to that other game where Mugi's playing basically a 4.0 average elixir cost. And Pedro then looking, hindsight is 2020, always you go, should I have just been a little bit more aggressive in single? Because that beatdown push in triple maybe would have just been less easy for him to pull off.
Mugi cycling arrows just to maybe get the right cards in his hand. A little chip damage there to open things up. 40 seconds left until we get to our double elixir time.
I don't know how I feel about putting myself in a position to have to win a game in 1 minute against Mugi.
Yeah, that might be the scariest thing I can imagine.
Yeah.
Does Pedro go big here?
And looking like our admin wanted to get a quick little emote in there. Shout out to whoever that was.
And here we go. Final 10 seconds of regulation. What do you pull out here with everything on the line? Baby Dragon for Pedro.
And Ram Rider to counter from our former world champion.
Pedro will be very happy to have Bowler against the Ram Rider.
And E-Giant. And we see immediately Mugi go opposite lane with that Lumberjack.
He's been so good at knowing when to do that.
And back around the arrows soon should be Mugi. And there we go. This is a pretty great E-Giant on that right side. It just ate Mugi's entire defense up.
And now right back to it. Opportunistic Mother Witch at the bridge. Oh boy.
Tombstone out, Ram Rider in. Doesn't even need the arrows, and that's a big connection.
And the archers aren't following the E-Giant, so they might do a little pressure on the left-hand side, but they really aren't very helpful right now.
No, I think you just straight up ignore them. Recruits will do more than enough.
And they absolutely do. Electro Giant shredded. Now Bowler having to deal with this push on the right-hand side. E-Giant to pull. And Kite here in the middle. Mother Witch in response by Mugi.
Decent damage there from the recruits on the E-Giant, but you obviously want just a little bit more of it. Anti-lightning positioning there with the God Cage. Nice play, and Lumberjack high enough to where you're not comfortable to pull the trigger on that lightning.
Arrows plus poison covering both phases of the archers.
And one of the most under-celebrated cards defensively in the game is that Mother Witch, because she's able to put in a little bit of damage and then make those piggies tank for her. And right now, she's getting so much value from this Tombstone, Rich. I think Pedro needs to be a little bit more cautious about just cycling that Tombstone.
He's not being very conservative here. NATO does hold, though. He has E-Giant plus Archer on the left, Bowler plus Archer on the right. That Electro Giant not going to get much for him.
And recruits back in. Only 1 minute remains here. Mugi basically untouched. 58 seconds away from being a repeat world champion unless Pedro can turn things around and turn them around quick.
Pedro needs to get a Tombstone down. Instead, he's letting the E-Giant stun. E-Giant stun should completely give Pedro great opportunities against that Ram Rider, as every time it snares, ends up hurting itself. But so far, that has not been the story.
And now you can see Mugi turn up the heat on that right-hand lane if he'd like. Tombstone out early, maybe a high Mother Witch. Just has to go defense.
Electro Giant behind, and the archers are not far enough away to totally ruin that Lumberjack. Lightning in, and the arrows clear. One evolved archer still alive.
Rich. Mugi is moments away, 27-35, 23-03, and I believe we might have our first ever repeat world champion, and that is it. 2021, 2023, champ, that's Mugi. He had not lost a game until earlier today when he ran into Pedro. Pedro is the only person who was able to get Mugi's number, and Pedro takes one, Mugi takes the rest.
For so long, he's been so good. A ladder-ranked king, then carried Ponos into our 2020 World Finals, but fell short. 2021, a close matchup against Mohamed Light, and Mugi became the only person to have his face up on the side of Supercell headquarters in Helsinki, Finland. But then Mohamed Light puts on the greatest run we've ever seen. 2022, pure dominance. 2023, wins everything. But Mugi now has etched his name in the history books. There is only one. Two-time Clash Royale League World Champion, and that's Mugi.
To be down here with our world champion, our two-time world champion, one more time for Mugi. Everybody, give it up. It is